Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Marvel Rivals high-level ranked cast. And today, we decided to jump on with Saipe because I can clickbait a title. The title is, this player held the top 4 spots on the Marvel Rivals leaderboard because Saipe did that. At the time we're recording, it's the 23rd, which should be when this video is coming out. But on the 21st or 20th, Saipe had, for the second time now, managed to hold the top 4 spots on the Marvel Rivals leaderboard. Insane work. We've also got some other strong players here. We've got Speedery, we've got Bio, we have J3, the streamer, and Vess, of course, one of the best Magnetos, if not the best Magneto in the world. So expect some kind of a clickbait title of something like the undisputed best player in the world versus blank. Something clickbait. You clicked on the video, you already know why you're here. Let's jump on in. We're, of course, in Season 5. We're on Symbiotic Surface. We're starting off with the double Hela ban. Where are we going from there? Looks like Spider-Man and Daredevil.
You'll need a top-notch team to win this one.
Teams not wanting to deal with too much dive, so they're just going to play around that and play it a little bit safe. I'm going to promote this multiple times throughout the video, just in case people skip around, so I apologise for that. But if you're watching this on the day it came out, or the day after, then tomorrow, Monday, the 24th, I will be running the Tetcher's Marvelous Quiz. You can jump on in and have a look at that, and I will be running a little Marvel-themed quiz, a little bit of comics, a little bit of movies, lots of Marvel Rivals, and I'll be running that with my incredible competitors slash guests in the form of Leg Day, that one, Dan, Melio, and Trust Me. So maybe consider tuning into that. It'll be on twitch.tv/Tetcher. Let's introduce our players, ladies and gentlemen, on the left-hand side. In the blue trunks, it is going to be Virtus Pro's Saipe. Not going to be on the rocket, we're just waiting for them to swap off, but what to is the question. We'll come back to them about that. We have Saipe on the rocket looking to swap to the Loki. There we go. We have Icelandic on the Penny. They were setting up a little bit of defense here. We have Bio on the Angela, the flying chair. I love that. We have a number 604238843 on the Phoenix. We'll call him 604. We have TSM Commodon. I don't think there's an official TSM team in Rivals yet, so this is just a fan name by the looks of it. They are on the Gambit. And we have Envy Speedery. They will be playing the Psylocke. On the right-hand side, in the red trunks, Fool is going to be playing that Black Widow. J3 is on the Winter Soldier. Avarice is playing the Magneto. Tech is on Rocket. Kings, or Z-Kings, will be playing the Invisible Woman. And Vess is on the Venom. Trying to make the line for the moment. Bio's already been taken down. Icelandic looking for that defensive setup. Has their Bionic Spider Nest in the corner to try and trap, and of course that wonderful mine pathway forcing the wraparound through the left-hand side. In comes Vess looking for the opening, but J3's already been taken down, forcing Icelandic to back away. 604 also taken out, and Tech with that Cosmic Yard Amplifier is keeping the team topped up. Here comes the Dance of the Butterflies from Speedery, looking to try and force out some defensive abilities, and was successful, took out that invisible boundary from Kings, but the point is still heavily controlled. With Icelandic and Bio down, bodies on the point has been removed. Saipe is picked off by Avarice, and Vess still holding on to that Feast from the Abyss. Able to create a little bit of an opening there. Very nicely done. And Fool with the snipe takes out Speedery. Making some great use of this Widow without even using the Phoenix team up for a little bit of extra healing. Takes out Commodon. Making their way in. Widow's bite for the duel. Portal comes out for a little bit of extra holding, but they're going to be taken out in the duel. Saipe getting kited at least a little bit, but is trying to take the duel versus J3, who picks them off, drops the ultimate after Saipe's already down, meaning that they do not find a target there. A little bit unlucky. Here comes the dive in, using the Raging Royal Flush, allowing Speedery to absolutely wipe them. Endsong Inferno comes on out. Kings falls. Avarice falls, thanks to Bio, who goes on in with that Raging Royal Flush explosion damage, allowing for that final hit. Ultimates. The Plasma Burst, not the official name, but still a very strong ability, because literally very few people actually know its name. It's Electro something Pulse. Able to take a little bit of space there, but it is available. We have the Meteor M, and we have the Feast of the Abyss. Aya Nagamoto for Icelandic, who came in with the portal earlier from above! Amplifier to lock down everyone with the help of Bio. They use both their big engage tools, but it's a full team wipe to take down Red Team. And this very forward hold from Blue Team is working very nicely. Normally you'll see teams try to hold on that back corner when you're heading into the long straight, utilizing that crate as a little bit of cover. But this angle gives you a lot of cover, but it does have the risk of being very close to your opponent's spawn point. But they're taking the risk anyway, and so far seems to be working out for them. But they've used all their engage tools, meaning that right now Blue Team are going to be playing a little bit more defensively. With the kite, in comes the Plasma Pulse, trying to look for a little bit of kiting potential and to prevent their opponents from retreating with that vulnerability, with that slow to try and capitalize, to try and push on in. Raging Royal Flush going to be coming out with the clone from Saipe, utilizing a little bit of an opening, but Avarice Meteor M has taken down 3, and that Raging Royal Flush is going to find absolutely nothing. Great cleanup there by Red Team. Still, Vess holds on to that Feast in the Abyss. Saipe's clone going to be taken out. Going to be looking for an opportunity for an opening. Coma sitting on that Raging Royal Flush with their own engage. Icelandic swapping off the Strange, moving on to the Magneto. Gets pulled in as the self-shield with the Metallic Bulwark. Will retreat at least a little bit. Raging Royal Flush going to be coming out as they try to capitalize. Visible boundary from Kings, giving their team a little bit of counter-engage. Anti-heal coming out from Coma, making everything come out here. Fool is going to be the first to be taken down with the Endsong Inferno. J3 is picked off before they can go for a crack and impact to try and capitalize. It's another full team wipe coming in from the Blue Team. Again, lovely cleanup here. It seems to be Red Team seems to get like 2 or 3 at a time and then make space from that. But every time Blue Team wins a fight, it's essentially a full team wipe. Looking for an opening. Speeder, he has that Dance of the Butterfly. If there are any defensive tools, could force them or could just go for a pickup here. Dance of the Butterfly with the anti-heal. Guardian Barrier comes on out to try and get a little bit of defense, but it's once again another essentially full team wipe, leaving Vess all alone. They're going to try and disengage. A little bit of a bounce getting caught out, chased down by Psylocke, but they will, by the looks of it, escape. No, they're going down here. Picked off on the retreat, coming back at the BRB though, right next to Spawn. That's a little bit unlucky, honestly. Dropping that BRB so early in a fight. When you're that close to Spawn, at this point you might as well just wait for your teammate to come back and push on in. They've got a minute 14 to play with. That is enough time to juggle it and save the BRB when you're closer to the objective. Avarice taking a lot of damage here. Anti-heal once again coming out. Coma is playing very, very effectively and very aggressive with the anti-heal as their main cause here. Media M. And the Cosmic Yard Amplifier coming on out, but the Yard Amplifier is taken down with the Endsong Inferno, which is boosted to take out J3. Avarice with the Meteor M of their own, trying to take out Nice Landing, but whiffs it, finds no target. Commodon takes them down. And with Raging Royal Flush charged up, Blue Team with yet another hold, 40 seconds remaining. Vess is taken out. Vess again, still not really using their ultimate yet, and as such they're going to swap off. They can't find the opening for this Feast from the Abyss, so they're going to sacrifice ult charge and look for an opening with something a little bit more engage heavy. They can potentially stop Coma dropping as many of these anti-heals if they're forced to hold some cards for the cleanse. Dance of the Butterfly going to be coming on out here. Best just being forced to eat it because the rest of their team is taken down with 12 seconds remaining. J3 on the gambit here, but not even stepping out of Spawn. They don't think they can make it. They don't think they can touch, so therefore it's going to be a hold on 1 point, 105 meters, 41 centimeters. Not a bad push by Red Team, but it is an insanely impressive hold by the Blue Team. Able to hold them at this choke point. Very aggressive positioning, but utilizing cover quite effectively. You don't see that hold too often. Again, normally it's always pushed back a little bit further, but that was a fantastic forward hold, utilizing great rotations to make sure that everyone stayed healthy. Bio was doing some good work. We didn't actually stay on board with them that often, but their engages seemed to make the difference. And Icelandic probably played the exact right hero for every situation there. Starting off on that Penny Parker for that first hold was pretty effective. Unfortunately, they did get picked off, but they delayed quite a long time. Then swapping over to Strange for the immediate stare re-engage so that they could contest that. so that they could just try and hold the line as best as they could for even longer, which is exactly where they were able to hold for the entire rest of the game. And then once Strange went down, they know how to hold at the doorway, which meant they would have had to push into a Winter Soldier, which would have been quite difficult. So they swapped over to the Magneto, someone with now a self-shield, ally shield, and of course that large magnetic barrier, allowing you to have a lot of extra sustain to actually break that point. And of course, having that Meteor M for quick blow-ups with that Ensong Inferno means they had an essential one-shot on whatever target they needed to do as time went on. Big shout out to Icelandic, absolutely playing the exact right hero for the situation, and that flexibility is going to allow you to climb those ranks very effectively. Bio going in for a flank right away. We're running a solo duelist composition now for the red team. They're going triple strategist, full bringing out that Mantis. The Kings moving over to a Loki here. They're going very heavy on the defense with that BRB, those regeneration domains, which of course gives the team up with the Deitific and Vibrant Vitality. Going to be going in for the duel, sending in those couple extra shots, but will back away at least for the moment. J3 takes a little bit of damage, trying to duel into Speedery, looking for the evasion, gets help from Fool, they're able to take that fight. Takes Bio out the sky with that tainted voltage. Holding the line, at least for the moment. If they can hold it here, then that is of course going to be game. Forcing Saipe to burn that regeneration domain. Bio once again going to be looking for anyone to pick up any isolation. 604 is poking away from the side with the help of Icelandic with the barrier for any kind of opening. And Avarice is going to be taking a lot of damage from this, as is Vest. Regeneration domain going to be keeping them topped up though. Forced to back up, has to wall to try and back away because they're taking too much damage. Here comes the Cosmic Guard Amplifier for that extra damage and that bonus health, but it's taken down once again. The power of that Ensong Inferno. Here comes the Raging Royal Flush from Commandant. Push it on in with the explosion damage, able to just burst through everything in their way with Darts of the Butterfly as well. That is another full, clean wipe there. King's the only one who is left, who will be picked off and chased down by Speedery. That's going to be the point going over to blue team. That finish line just around that corner. That's what they're going to be aiming for here. But look at the ultimates. J3 charged up. Kraken Impact. Avarice. Meteor M. Kings with the God of Mischief and Vest strangling Prison. On the other side, we're very nearly at Heaven's Retribution, which is going to be used immediately, diving on in with the pickup from Icelandic for the follow-up, who still has that Meteor M. Saipe did use their own God of Mischief for that setup to steal J3's Winter Soldier for a Kraken Impact to make sure that they had enough finishing potential for that fight. And now with that cart moving forward, two people on the board are going to try and zone on out here. Bio coming in for the body block to try and keep people off that point as that cart moves on forward with two bodies on the board. They're just going to try and speed it in. In comes Kings, looking to try and touch it with potentially a teleport going in for the clone onto the Gambit. Raging Royal Flush catches the entire team for the setup as Vest pushes on forward. They've cleaned them off the point. It's pushing back now. And now it's a question of how many escapees can they pick off? How many members of the blue team can they clean on out? Can they stagger them if possible as well? Great trap there. Trying to pick off Saipe, taking out the clones. And they're really delaying the real Saipe here to try and just zone them out. Try disjoint them from the rest of the team. Icelandic will also likely be falling a little bit later, gets for the Metallic Bulwark, and will get healing. Lovely hold, beautiful stagger by the red team there, but with just a few meters to go, it's not looking great for red team. They have to hold this for the entire rest of the game. Speedery charged up for a Dance of the Butterfly. Vest looking for a straggling Prism opportunity. Needs to be careful though because that cleanse could come out. The ultimate, one of the few purifiers already going to be utilized. Straggling Prison comes on in, only catches Speedery, but that could still be a huge pickup. Taking him out, but Ensong Inferno, Vest's team is wiped off the board by 604, and a clean, casual ride on in from the blue team will be the game going over to them. Wonderful cleanup coming in there from the blue team. That Ensong Inferno, more than enough to detonate the majority of red team. And while that straggling Prison did take out Speedery, it only took out Speedery. And Speedery is able to take the MVP there. Psylocke still very strong right now. You see here in those final statistics, 38-5. Icelandic, by the way, big shout out to them. 32-2. Great ratio. 604 as well, 31-3. Honestly, it's just a really good ratio team. Bio was 29-3. Works out quite well. Commandant, 23-4. Great KO to getting KO'd ratio here. Final hits, though, does, of course, go over to Speedery. 14 of those with the top damage in the game of 22k, beating out 604 by about 1k. You will see, you can really tell a really good Psylocke from the one that can struggle, because utilizing your combos efficiently can get you the huge boost in damage numbers, as opposed to just being someone on the flank who's just picking away with a little bit of damage, like you'll see a lot of times in those lower ranks. Top damage blocks, of course, as usual, you'll see the healing and damage blocks will likely be going over to the losing team, because they're usually taking a bit more damage. That's exactly what we see here. Avarice with 34k on that damage blocked. Very nice. Speaking of which, highest damage in their team is also Avarice with 13k, 9k less than Speedery. And top healing, like we said, does go over to the team that came in second. 24,000 healing from Kings. This meant that they were dueling quite well. We can also, we can't see on this screen exactly who they played in that game, but plenty of options coming on in. So yeah, very solid round. Very good game by Blue Team. And again, the biggest thing I want to draw attention to here is Icelandic. Bio is staying on that Angela the entire game, and it worked out quite well for them. They were able to get some good isolations, they were able to get some good fights, their ultimates were almost always efficient. But the fact is, when you are playing a dive tank, your other tank has to do even more work a lot of the time, because they are going to be the one who's protecting the backline, they're going to be the one who's getting a lot of that work done as an actual Vanguard. And you'll see that in the amount of damage they absorbed, 21k to 12k. Bio did an amazing job, but a lot of pressure was put onto Icelandic for that, and I really do want to re-emphasize Icelandic's rotations throughout the game were magnificent. Going from that Penny into Strange into Mag was a wonderful rotation. This is why if you are playing Marvel Rivals and you want to be able to climb, you should know at least 3 characters in any single role, and each of them should potentially cover a different category, a different area, what you think. You should know one dive tank, one hold tank, and then something that sort of fills the middle, or just a preference tank, and just hope that you have enough to cover your team, because you will win more games if you have a better team comp than your opponent's team. You can mitigate a little bit of skill by playing the right character in the right situation. So try and observe that, work out what needs to be done, because Icelandic there, they had a lot of pressure on them to make sure that their backline was safe, especially when Vest was playing Venom. But that was mitigated because Bio actually played quite defensively, which is smart for them. You can't just play offensive. And 604 was the only damage dealer they really needed to cover for, because Speedery's doing their own thing, while still staying in the backline when needed to make sure that they are topped up. And then Saipe and Commodon were both protecting each other while also being very hard to take down, thanks to that regeneration domain, the teleports, and of course those extra dives, the occasion charge and the bio bash for a little bit of self-healing. So you were able to adjust quite well. That allowed Icelandic to play flexible, play the right characters, hold the choke point, portal back in to win a fight in close range, and then range to guarantee the maximum defense against what your opponent's best weapon is. In this case, that was that Winter Soldier. So very well executed. Really want to bring attention to that. That is a great thing to take away from this if you're trying to improve in your own game. But that's it for me. Quick reminder that this Monday, the 24th of November at 8 PM UK time, we will be having the Tetcher's Marvelous Quiz. It's the first one of potentially many. If it goes well, maybe it goes terrible. We don't do it again. But here, tell you what, I think I have it on my OBS. I think it's done at this point. Let me give you a quick preview of the overlay. I'll be on camera here, so I'll give a wave in terrible lighting here. But this is going to be the overlay. There's the quiz set up for you. Once again, I'll guess that one, Dan, Melly. Where is Melio's? Oh, I'll have to fix that. But Melio is, of course, going to be joining us leg day, and trust me, so we got a bit of an EMEA heavy setup here, but that's fine. I'm sure it will be. We can adjust that for future episodes. Make sure you tune in. Come say hi. I don't stream often, so I'm not expecting a lot of views. The VOD eventually for that will be up on YouTube at a future date, so make sure you tune in for that. Come say hello, and maybe join in, or check out the edited VOD once it is available on YouTube later on. I guess I'll say goodbye from here. So thank you all very much for watching. I have been Tetcher, and yeah, because this is coming out on Sunday, I will see you all for the first time in a while tomorrow.